Hi, this is Billy Sherwood from Circa, and you're watching the Carvin channel.
The stiff neck of arrogance and the bent bow of humility. Pondering the mystery.
So we are here at the Coach House in San Juan Capistrano, and this gig is William Shatner's Ponder the Mystery tour. Basically, we've done 2 sold-out shows. We're working on the 3rd one now. I asked my band Circa to be the backing band for this project, for these shows, because it seemed like the logical choice. And so it's a combination of Circa and William Shatner. We're playing all of the Ponder the Mystery record. And I'm playing lead guitar on my favorite Carvin guitar that I've had since I joined Yes in '96, and I used that on all those Yes tours. And it's just been by my side ever since. That's my favorite guitar, and you won't be able to get it out of my hands anytime soon. So thank you, Carvin, for that all the help playing. Makes it easier. My baby. Can I touch my baby?
What about
Cool thing is, here's its twin sister right here, actually. Just in case something goes south. I love it. I produced the album with William, and basically it was just he and I making the record alone for the first major chunk of it. And I played all the instruments on the record. I did the drums, I did the bass, and then I sat down with the guitar and filled in all the blanks. And then eventually we had the structure and the frame of the entire record, and we farmed out different guitar solos to different players, one of them being Steve Vai, who is also a fellow Carvin endorser and an amazing player. And Steve did a great solo on the title track called Ponder the Mystery. And through this process of having 13 amazing guest artists combined onto each different track, it makes for a really interesting record as it goes from tip to tail. You get this different flavor, texture of solos, and Dave Koz playing great saxophone, and Nick Turner and Rick Wakeman playing keys. And we were actually blessed enough to have George Duke on the record right before he passed away. He delivered an amazing overdub, and then we lost him, which was very sad, but his solo is archived on the record in a great way. So it's a very unique record. It's very emotional and heartfelt. The lyrics are all coming from Bill. I wrote the music, Bill wrote all the words, and it's just a very unique experience, which I've been honored to be involved with.
Peace in the world and the war of anxiety.
the miracle of love and hate's depravity?
Ponder the mystery.
Billy Sherwood is a musical prodigy. He comes from a musical home, more than one generation. His dad was Bobby Sherwood, great band leader in time of the big bands in the 40s and, I guess, 40s and 50s. So he, not unlike Mozart, who was born to a musical family, knew music before he came into the world. In uterus, he must have heard all kinds of music. So he emerged a genius. At least I think he is, and so did a great many other people. Brian Pereira of the label is the guy who manufactured this marriage of talents. So when they asked me what I'd do, I sort of spitballed an idea. I come from a dramatic background, writing and all the things that I've done dramatically over the years. So I needed that sort of line. So I said, I'll write about a guy in despair on the beach who, an hour before sunset, who as the sun sets finds it sad and lonely in his life, but then through the beauty of the night regains his mojo, and in the end his spirit returns. And although you might not get that from listening to the album, now that I've told you, you'll pick that up. But you don't have to know that to enjoy the album. So I wrote songs about sunset, about twilight, about the sounds of the night, and then I had him thinking of other things. Where does time go? Even this dog that is dying, and in the result, how he's afraid of everything, which would include death. And in the end, the beauty of the night seduces him back into joy. And those were the songs I wrote. I handed them to Billy, and Billy wove melodic lines into them, and used the words as choruses and phrases. And so, yes, I wrote the words, and yes, Billy wrote the music, but so much of Billy's talent is invested in this record, and I'm in awe of his ability to do so many things musically, which includes composing and orchestrating.
Peace in the world and the war of anxiety.
Pondering the mystery. There is the moon, there is the stars, and the darkness of the sea.
Well, I did a one-man show. I toured Australia, I toured Canada. Then I rewrote it and opened on Broadway, this a couple of years ago, and toured most of the states. I've done 40 cities on tour with a one-man show, in which we do sound checks and all that. But it's in a legitimate theater, theaters of 2,000 and 3,000 seats, and I've done that a lot, more than one time, over the years of one-man shows. But this is quite different. Yes, the sound checks are, you do a sound check, and I'm listening to how that voice bounces back and trying to figure, I'm talking now in the theater, and I'm trying to figure with a full house or with a lot of people in the audience, what's the sound going to be like? Because people's bodies absorb the sound more readily, so the bounce back I hear, which is good and precise, might not be there that evening when the people come in. So you're playing that guessing game, and there's somebody out front adjusting the sound of your voice. But here, you have all these musical instruments. You have 4 other voices, if you will, all needing their time in the sun. They've got to be brought up and brought down. And since some of this, a good part of it is me speaking and music in behind me, all that's got to be modulated. It's called a mix. So the mix has got to be there.
So how is that for you? You hearing me in there?
Yes.
You got keyboards?
Yeah, I got the key. I got your voice.
I don't have any keys. Where's
Play a
the
little
keys?
guitar.
You got keyboards?
I got, yeah. Play the keyboard again.
You got the bass guitar?
I got the bass.
Okay.
The earphone that musicians are wearing is a puzzlement to people who don't really know. And really, although I knew that it was to hear their own voice at sometimes, I wasn't attuned to the fact of how important it is, because, and this is a fact that every musician knows, but non-musicians have no idea, and I'm a non-musician, the drums are overpowering. They're intrinsically the loud instrument. Tom-toms carried for miles for the original reason for having a drum was to send a message. So this is sending a message, but it's huge, much higher than a flute, for example. So if somebody's playing a flute and there are drums, you can't hear the flautist. So there's somebody using Carvin equipment, adjusting the volume of sound. The drummer, in most cases, and certainly in ours, is walled off with plastic. There's a wall, clear wall between us and him to try and cut down his sound. And then that mix in my ear is what is the audience is hearing. And I'm hearing my own voice, which sometimes over the pounding of the drums is difficult. So there's a whole subtle, sophisticated piece of equipment that's in my ear that is sent wireless back to the mix, and I'm hearing, as everybody else in the band is, hearing the mix. And it's astonishing.
The miracle of love. Hate's incredible. Death's finality. And life's absurdity. A child's love and man's cruel.
Well, the microphone is another thing. I made a living as a kid on radio, and you play the microphone, and different microphones have different angles of sound. The microphone I worked a lot when I was a youngster in Montreal was the ones that were the old-fashioned ones that had sound that went like this, or sound that went like this if I'm facing the mic. So if I wanted to give the appearance of coming on like from a distance, all I had to do was go to the side and make my way across the volume outline of the microphone. I'm working with a mic that it's got a signal, it's got a pickup like this. Not only that, I want to whisper at times. Other times I want to shout. So I've got to judge how far away to be away from the mic, as well as the guy on the pods. The guy on the pods hasn't heard the show that much, so he doesn't know where I'm going to whisper. And then there is a sweet spot on this microphone. It's about like that, from here to here on the microphone. So I'm judging that as well. So there's a whole intricate technology going on having to do with microphones and that ilk.